Hi, so I'm making another health update video, and not a lot of people are watching these at this point, and I'm actually happy about that. I don't really want a lot of people to watch my progress until I've actually become super healthy. Anyways, I don't really expect there to be a lot of views, nor do I want it. So this isn't some sort of like pity party for me. I'm not trying to get a bunch of attention or anything. This is just me tracking my progress, and maybe I can help some other people in the future and they can see, some really honest, candid accounts of my health and where it's been and where it's going. And I like to talk about this whole idea of vegan diets and whatever, because a lot of people say they tried to go vegan and went back to regular disgusting meat eating diet or whatever, or tried one thing in veganism, didn't work for them or whatever. And so it's me trying to find the best vegan diet for myself, even though I haven't really found it yet. And I've been through a lot of different things in the years that I've been vegan and tried veganism, and I did fall off the bandwagon once and went back to eating some dairy products, but I never went back to eating meat. And I did get off those dairy products fairly quickly within like a couple of months and went back to being vegan. So if you don't count that, I've been vegan for probably almost 8 years, but if you do count that, more like 5 years. And I have had some health issues during those times, but I'm not about to just start going back to eating meat and animal products, because I do feel better than I did when I ate that stuff. So I feel a significant improvement from not eating meat and dairy products, but I don't feel as better as I could be, like my ultimate best, and that's where I want to get to. Back when I was having issues with my ovary pain and stuff like that, I wasn't making videos, and so sometimes I forget about all that stuff I went through. And so that's why I'm making videos now, is so that I can look back. A lot of this is for myself, so I can see, wow, I was in a lot of pain back then and I was really struggling, and now I'm a lot better because I'm doing this and this and this and it worked, or I did this and it didn't work, or whatever. I can look back at my past self, because our minds get jumbled with a bunch of different stuff, and we forget what life was like, 2 or 3 years ago, or 4 years ago, or 5 years ago. It's easier for me to remember like a year or two ago. And anyways, I haven't been tempted to go back to meat or dairy products. I just want to talk about, different vegan diets I've tried and how things have been for me. Anyway, I did try to do all raw before, and that was super hard for me. I didn't feel like I was getting enough bulk calories, and so what I would do is I would allow myself to eat cooked food when I went out to eat only, and that led to me wanting to eat out all of the time because I just never felt full or satisfied unless I ate cooked food. So I just wasn't able to afford enough really dense raw foods, and also eating a large amount of nuts didn't feel good to me at all. So I do think, though, however, I need to eat more raw foods, but I'm not going to go back to 100% raw diet. Anyway, I think my problem lately has been poverty mentality. I have been very I have this mentality with myself, and I just realized it today, is like, I save the fruit for the kids because I want them to have the best nutrition possible, and sometimes I feel anxious about food because I've struggled my entire 20s with just not having a lot of money ever since I got out from my parents' roof and stuff. They gave me a certain amount of money every month, but it did not cover my food expenses. It covered like most of my rent, and I was trying to work and go to school at the same time and budget all my food and stuff. And I've had some really hard times where I just had really boring food to eat, or even had to ask people to help me or whatever, because I got strangled and sat on by my ex-boyfriend, and then as soon as I quit going to college, all my financial help from my family got cut off. So I went through a period of homelessness, where I just couldn't afford super high quality foods. But I stayed vegan the entire time I was homeless, actually. It wasn't hard for me to be vegan as a homeless person. It was hard for me to be like healthy vegan, though. Anyway, I have this poverty mentality. It stems back all the way from childhood. My parents were divorced, and I remember there often being squabbles about who buys what for me, and a lot of just talk in general about how much money I cost. And my mother was very passionate about teaching me about money and being frugal and stuff like that, but it could get really overkill to the point where I felt guilty about every little purchase that she made for me, be it clothes, shoes, toiletries, whatever I wanted. If it was something a little extra nice, I wanted to fit in with the popular kids at school. I grew up in a very wealthy, yuppie area, but my parents were divorced, and so we weren't as high income as the kids I went to school with. So although I was fine and I had all of my needs taken care of, I felt really ugly and unattractive and really subpar. Also, my mother was not very feminine, so I wasn't really taught how to do like hair, makeup, that kind of stuff. I just always felt super frumpy every time I went to school. Just felt like just I just couldn't fit in with the popular crowd. And the unpopular crowd, some of those kids were like really rough and hard for like hard up kind of kids, and they really didn't like me because I was pretty good kid, goody two shoes kind of girl. So I didn't really fit in with them either. And I did have some friends, but there was a lot of cattiness and two-faced things going on, and girls being mean, and I wasn't very, anyway, low self-esteem from childhood, get that out of the way, and just a lot of low quality food. My mother didn't like to spend money on certain things and loved to spend money on other things. She wanted us to travel and have good experiences so that I could feel like I'm just as well off as the richer kids I went to school with. But she'd cut corners on things like food and buy things at like outlet stores or whatever. And when the kids would open my lunchbox at school, they would like open my lunchbox for me, like take it from me and like grab all the expired food and read the dates out loud and stuff. Like, yeah, I had expired food in my lunchbox. And a lot of just cheap, low quality kind of stuff. And at my dad's house, it wasn't like that. They had nicer food, but I remember my stepmom had like a special stash of nice food that was just for her, like her diet weight loss food or whatever, like her nice expensive food, and then like the kids' food was like cheaper and lower quality or whatever. So I just remember like having this mentality growing up, like dad doesn't want to spend money on me, mom doesn't want to spend money on me, just everybody's just, I felt like I come last, and going between two houses all of the time, and just feeling like I don't belong anywhere, and nobody wants to spend money on me, kind of. So lately, like, how I treat myself is kind of a reflection of how my parents treated me, and I just am very, like, I can be very stingy with myself if I want certain things or whatever. I'm like, no, you gotta save the nice fruit for the kids, and just those kind of attitudes has kind of led me to be very dehydrated because I eat a lot of rice and beans and chips, cheap stuff, and so I need to eat more watery foods because I think that this whole ear and tooth infection thing, because I've been doing a lot of really drying out herbs, and it just doesn't seem to do anything. I just feel dry. I just feel parched. I've been taking MMS. A couple months ago, for a little bit, I did some black walnut, and eat a lot of curry and a lot of mustard. And even though I have IBS, I was making myself eat some garlic just to try and get rid of this infection. And just a combination with that and like not a lot of water-rich foods I feel like I'm not getting better from the infection because I just don't have enough water to help things go through me. So I feel like I'm constipated like all the way up to here. And like I read about this like tooth and this ear, like especially this particular tooth is caused by digestive issues. So maybe that's why all these antibiotic herbs haven't really done that much, or MMS, and I just feel dry. I've been watching videos of myself and kind of, sometimes it's good to get out of yourself and just like look at yourself, and I feel like my skin looks dry. I feel like, I have like something like sucked out of me. I drank so much water this morning, but my voice still sounds kind of hoarse, and I just feel like the water just doesn't quench my thirst. I feel like I need more water-rich foods. Maybe some juicing, maybe some juices. And like again, that's like something with me as far as like poverty mentality. I'm like, oh my god, so much fruit and vegetables went into that juice, and we just can't afford to keep doing that like that forever. But like I've been thinking like that about myself since I was a young child, like ever since my mom, basically taught me that we don't deserve high quality foods like the kids at my school. We deserve to eat less than high quality food, and I should just suck it up because we're gonna save money that way, or whatever mentality there is. And I was really crushed. Like when I was a teenager, I had really bad stomach problems, like so bad that I was missing school a lot, and I was like in severe pain. I remember having excruciating stomach aches, so I would just like doubled over in pain constantly, and I was always constipated. And my stepmom would actually get angry at me and yell at me to drink more water, even though I was drinking a lot of water, and because I kept clogging the toilet. And I saw a naturopath, and she said that I need to eat more fiber foods and more avocados and more fruit and stuff like that. And my mom, she got this attitude about me, like I'm being prissy or something, like, because I wanted to follow her advice, and it was expensive advice, according to my mother. She didn't want to buy this expensive bread for me and stuff, but she did. But she made sure to let me know how hard it was on her and how reluctant she is to buy it and everything, and how, difficult and stressful I'm making everything. And that just didn't make that food sit well in me. I just felt like I don't deserve this, but she's doing it because the doctor said I need to eat this. And she didn't keep it up. She bought it like one time, and that was it. And then I went back to eating how I normally do. So that made me feel really just like shitty, like I don't deserve nice stuff. And then as soon as I got into my early 20s, my mom would be constantly calling me and asking me when I'm going to be financially self-sufficient when I was in college. And I was having a really hard time working and going to school and dealing with all of my health problems simultaneously. I was very stressed out, and she was just stressing me out even more. Kept asking me when I'm going to be able to be self-sufficient. And so I just have always felt like such a financial burden on everyone and everything, and just such a burden on this planet, just in general. Like, it's made me very have very bad eating habits. So anyway, I've been a vegan, but a vegan who doesn't eat a lot of fruit, and also I was afraid to eat more fruit because of my tooth infection. I was afraid that the sugar would make it worse. I was afraid that it would make my ear infection worse. But anyway, now I'm gonna try and eat 4 or 5 oranges a day starting tomorrow because my husband has to go get it for me, and 2 cucumbers every single day, and some juices, and just see what that does. So I'm just gonna stop having poverty mentality about this whole thing because my health issues are making us poor and have been making me poor my whole 20s basically. And I graduated high school with a lot of health issues, and actually I have improved since I graduated high school. I had a lot worse issues. So, you know, I thought I was like gonna die of cancer or something. I was convinced that I'm just a weakling who's gonna die young. Anyway, I don't feel that way anymore. I feel like I'm gonna kick this. I just gotta like value myself and feel like it's okay to spend money on myself on expensive or foods, eat a lot of fruit, and I don't have to just eat these dry packaged canned stuff all the time. And yeah, anyways, when I was doing my raw food thing, I was spending a lot of money on myself for food. And I remember, because I was in my early 20s, my mother was very like angry about that, and she was so mad at me for not saving money. I was having a really hard time saving any money. I was paying my rent, I was working, I was going to school, but I didn't have any savings. And she's very pissed off at me for not having savings. And I was just spending so much money on raw foods and healthy foods because I felt so sick. And she's pretty irritated with me about that. Like, don't you know all college kids survive off ramen kind of attitude. So I feel like healing my heart, telling myself, this is my heart right here. As you can see, I have a big scar on it. I feel like that because it hurts physically and it hurts emotionally, and I feel like that's part of my problem, is just like feeling like I deserve good things, like I deserve healthy food, I deserve to be treated well, just like because my own parents just act like you're such a annoying burden. So I really don't like my parents, obviously, and I don't really feel bad about it. Anyway, bye.